To Desalegn, thank you for joining us. Do stay tuned. Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Damek Mekonnen announced the government's plan to begin repatriating its citizens over the week from Zambia in close collaboration with partners. Damek had a meeting with members of the Ethiopian community residing in Zambia on the margins of the 41st Ordinary Session of the African Union Executive Council held last week. There are a number of Ethiopians held in detention centers in Zambia for trying to illegally cross the country's borders heading to South Africa. The Ethiopian community members explained their efforts to support the Ethiopians in various detention centers in Zambia and requested the government of Ethiopia to repatriate these citizens to their homeland. It is to be recalled that the government of Ethiopia began repatriating about 12,000 Ethiopians from African and Middle Eastern countries on July 14th. The government will collaborate with the International Organization of Migration to repatriate those Ethiopians found in dire conditions in Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Sudan, Yemen, and Oman. The United States, through the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, announced nearly $55 million in additional food security assistance to Ethiopia. Ethiopia is currently experiencing food insecurity due to higher food and fertilizer prices due to various local and international factors such as Ukraine crisis. USAID will utilize this new funding to help Ethiopians overcome the current food crisis and to build further resilience to prevent and respond to food-related shocks in the future. This new investment in the people of Ethiopia is part of President Joe Biden's pledge made in late June during the G7 Leaders Summit in Germany to provide $2.76 billion in additional U.S. government resources to protect the world's most vulnerable populations from the escalating global food security crisis in Ethiopia. USAID will use this new funding to reach over 2 million Ethiopians most affected by the Ukraine crisis. This population includes farmers whose water and supply systems were destroyed by the conflict in northern Ethiopia. Staffs of the Refugees and Returnees Service, together with UNHCR and Action for the Needy in Ethiopia, have planted tree seedlings the previous day at Gulele Botanic Garden as part of the Green Legacy Initiative. Talking to ETV English, UNHCR Deputy Representative Country Director Margaret Atieno said tree planting is crucial in addressing problems refugees, displaced persons, and host communities are experiencing due to deforestation. Margaret underscored that her office is ready to support the Green Development Initiative as Ethiopia plans to plant over 6 billion seedlings during this rainy season. Haptama Shagri reports.
Ethiopia is adopting a green development initiative to curb effects of deforestation and climate change. Aligned with this initiative, heads of UNHCR and staff in Ethiopia have undertaken in planting trees at the Gulele Botanic Garden. Speaking on the occasion, UNHCR Deputy Representative Country Director Margaret Atieno said her office is ready to realize institutional objectives that help us to avoid the negative impacts of environment.
The Prime Minister Green Legacy Initiative is actually quite renowned. UNHCR has been part of this initiative since 2019. We joined other agencies when the project was initiated to plant trees. So we have been part of the initiative. We recognize the effort, we recognize the objective, and we are committed to support the legacy, to carry forward this initiative.
According to Margaret, UNHCR has been joining other institutions to realize the Green Development Initiative through recognizing Ethiopia's efforts in this endeavor. She further noted UNHCR is always committed to support Ethiopia's effort to tackle the negative impacts of global warming by realizing Green Development Initiative.
As UNHCR, we are very happy to be associated with this tree planting exercise. It resonates very much with our own institutional objectives. We recognize that the presence of forced displacement has a negative impact on the environment, and therefore, as part of our work to address the response to forced displacement, we have prioritized and we recognize the need to contribute to the management of the environment and the management of resources, and tree planting obviously is one of those activities.
This year, Ethiopians are tirelessly working to plant over 6 billion tree seedlings during the rainy season across the country. On this move, UNHCR has been planting multi-purpose trees in the refugee camps across the country, as well as in the neighboring host community sites.
You're watching Addis News Hour, and I'm joined with my guest right here, a Pan-Africanist named as Akalu Abraham, who will be discussing with me with regards to the African Union's 20-year journey. I'm here with my guest, Akalu. Good morning, Akalu.
Good morning to you.
Well, of course, if you would be willing, I'd like to ask you just a few questions with regards to the topic that we have right now, briefly speaking, with regards to the African Union's 20-year journey. Right. The OAU had various structural problems, and because it did not meet the current needs of Africa, the African Union was reestablished by changing its name and structure before 20 years.
Right.
Now, briefly speaking, are there any successes achieved by the African Union in terms of solving the problems of OAU 20 years ago?
Thank you very much. I think they have tried their best, but I don't see something, kind of radical change which brings the people of the continent to the better life. So they tried their best. It was, there is some kind of push from every corner of the Western world. That push couldn't let them to manage what they have here in the continent. So I can say that they tried their best, but they didn't bring anything, because the people of Africa right now, they're living in poverty. That's the serious problem. So I don't think that they did all their best to bring, to lift up this continent to the better place.
Sublime. And even in 20 years after the reestablishment of the Union, unconstitutional changes of government are seen in various countries. But why is it not possible to make a fundamental change beyond condemning the events?
I can say that, the Western's influence towards this government has got its own serious problem that they were oppressing, they were pushing, they were, making a lot of problem to these governments because they need their own interest. They do have their own interest to work on, and then this continent has got also their own way to make their people to the better place. But they didn't do that. So that is what I really would like to say on that.
Mm-hmm. And well, Sublime. And how about the fact that how it does the union in terms of working with Pan-Africanism as a Pan-Africanist yourself, as a principle? How does the union look in terms of working with Pan-Africanism as a principle?
Actually, there are a lot of Pan-Africanist uses around the continent, and then out of the continent, like the 6 regions out of the continent, the diaspora community, I saw many Pan-Africanist uses, but still the support and then working together with the African Union is not that much, strong. I can say that when these uses has got their own strong intention to change the continent. When you go to African Union, I can say that when you go to there, it's not that much open for you. And then most of the the resources coming from the Western world to run this African Union, right? So you can say the lion's share is from outside the world, and then they are there to shift you up what to do and not to do. So that is also one problem. So these Pan-African uses and Pan-African societies around the globe, they are trying their best by their own. Even they don't have the kind of grant or something to continue their project. They do by their own. They collect some money from here and there, and then they do susus and then do something with that, what is expected from the diaspora community, and then what is expected from African descendants, and then do something better for the African nation. So they're trying by themselves, but still it's very important. African Union needs to work with the diaspora community, and then who are working here, the African uses here in African continent. So this is, I think, that I really would like to say.
Mm-hmm. And finally, moving on to my final question, what can Africans expect from the Union in the coming years?
As an African citizen, like as a generation, as a new generation of African, I feel like I just want to see my people not starving anymore. I don't want to see poverty here in Ethiopia and then in the continent at large. And I don't want to see different scarcities here and there. People are begging here, and I don't want to see that. So we want to see some kind of changed Africa, changed countries in the continent as well. So we don't want to be pushed by the Westerners. I don't want to be. So I need, at the same time, I need to enjoy democracy. The democracy that they enjoy in the Europe. So and then also I want to have some kind of peaceful life in here, suitable life in here, very stable environment in here. So these are very important things that the AU should do. And then also for how long we are living like this. So this is the big question that every user should ask, and the citizen of the continent should ask, and then push the government or the leaders to solve these serious problems by our own or by their own. So the people of Africa, the people of the continent needs to work with the government, and then every corner of the regions of Africa, the central and then eastern and western, every continent. Every regions, every corner in the region. In the continent needs to work with that. I think this is what I have.
Thank you for joining us, Kalu, and appreciate for all the answers regarding the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the best.
It was announced that the Ethiopian constitution does not respect the ethnic identity of citizens with mixed identity. According to a scholar who has done various researches on constitution, said the Ethiopian constitution that is served now obliges Ethiopians with a mixed identity to choose their father's nationality and separates mothers from social and political issues. Johannes Fontaine has compiled the following story. Take a look.
Ethiopia's 1994 constitution is a direct result of the government pursuing a policy of ethnic democracy. Ethnicity serves as the foundation for Ethiopia's political parties and is what motivates the constitution to tiered federal system. In addition to the central government, there are regional states whose border roughly traces ethnic lines. The constitutional structure cemented ethnicity as a definitive issue in Ethiopian politics. This constitution of Ethiopia, which recognizes only single ethnic identity individuals,
individuals is subjected of many complaints, especially related to national identity. Among these is the opposition raised by Ethiopians who have mixed identity.
Now, when the EPRDF crafted the 1995 constitution, I felt like I was excluded from the nation state, because the focus of the constitution was on what I call on single ethnic groups. So in this case, single ethnic groups, Amara, Oromo, Gurage, Sidama, and then there was no mention of mixed ethnic group whatsoever. I came from a mixed ethnic background, and then they, in this case, they want me to choose my father's side.
The current Ethiopian constitution of 1994 does not respect the ethnic identity of mothers and requires children born from mixed ethnic identities to choose their father's ethnicity. Theodos, who conducted research in the field, says that although various studies have been done on this constitution, they have not been able to realize that it does not accommodate people with mixed ethnic identity.
I started looking research papers, a discussion or scholarly work, or those so-called human rights organization, many of them, they never mentioned anything about that.
Yeah.
About the fact that mixed ethnic people were disadvantaged by Ethiopian constitution. In fact, some of the scholars, like great scholars from Europeans, and then reviewing, under the title, Reviewing Ethiopian Constitution After 20 Years, and then the discussion was about single ethnic group. They never mentioned anything about mixed ethnicity while reviewing it after 20 years of its existence.
Yeah.
And then I said, these people are completely blind about the mixed ethnic existence in Ethiopia.
The researcher said the following about the problems of this constitution that did not recognize mixed identity.
The problem of post-1991 Ethiopia, I call the problem of the erasure. In this case, erasing mixed ethnic people from existence while we exist. In fact, the other day I attended a wedding, and then the groom was from ethnic X, the bride was from ethnic Y. So even like this is on Tuesday, and then I witnessed, the continuing existence of mixed ethnic people, but the state chose to pay no attention to us.
The researcher, who points out that the constitution of Ethiopia has other problems besides the national identity of citizens, adding that he urges the government at least to respond to objections on the constitution related to mixed identity.
We want the Federation House to recognize us, and then the government to amend the constitution. And then they need to redefine, reconceptualize ethnicity. They need to reconceptualize ethnicity.
Various arrangements are being made for the national dialogue in Ethiopia, and the constitution is expected to be one of the agenda items.
The Ministry of Agriculture said it is working to cover some 13.4 million hectares of cultivated land with crop in 2022/23 crop season. According to State Minister of Agriculture, Meles Mekonnen, the ministry has been working to cover 13.4 million hectares of cultivated land in this rainy season, expecting some 400 million quintals of crop production in 2022/23 harvest seasons. Some 6.28 million hectares of land are being prepared with cluster farming to increase production and productivity, he added. He stated that the state minister stated that the 55% of the total cultivated land, 6.6 million hectare, has been covered with seeds so far. According to him, some 2.2 million hectares of land have been cultivated with tractors so far, providing over 1,000 tractors to farmers this year. Parliamentarians concurred with the ambassador on the need to cancel debts to enable economically fragile countries to get through the ongoing global food crisis. Ministry of Revenues disclosed the previous day that it has collected over 336 billion birr tax in the just concluded 2021/22 Ethiopian fiscal year. The revenue collected showed an increment of over 57 billion birr when compared with last budget year, Minister of Revenues Laka Ayalew said. Moreover, some 93.53% of the income has been secured by collecting more than 336 billion birr tax out of the planned 360 billion birr, he added. Out of the total revenues, over 196 billion birr was obtained from domestic taxes and 140 billion birr from foreign trade taxes and duties. It was also pointed out that the revenue collected during the year can be considered as better performed as it was carried out with